Here we go. Gonna get a good sniff here. Excellent connection. We'll see. I'm plugged into the Ethernet this week, so hopefully we're gonna have a good connection. I'm also filming this earlier in the day because I want a little sunlight. I'm usually filming in the dark, so I'm gonna try to get these going a little earlier in the day so I can have some sunlight. Better vibe in my opinion. Okay, this week, been here a week at this spot in Bali, and it's a switch up, and there's a lot of sorry if it's noisy, there's cars going by and some noise around here, but it's been a big switch up and a lot of new things. And I would say the one thing I'm noticing is like this house there's so many bugs and lizards. And it's like the house is open, right? So the sliding doors, like just have big gaps upstairs and downstairs. The bathroom windows are just slats, so you can just geckos and lizards and bugs just come right in. So it's just lots of bugs. The lizards are good because they eat the bugs, and the lizards don't really bother me, or they hadn't really bothered me. But we'll get to that in a minute. So I can usually see a lizard at all times somewhere in the ceiling, or they like to hang out in the lights and stuff. But temperature's been okay, even though the AC is broken. If the doors are open and like I have a fan going, it's been fine. So praise God for that. Here's what happened though. Okay, it's been raining quite a bit, so I'm hanging my clothes outside to dry, and it starts pouring. So if you look here, this is the clothing rack, just so you have a little context here what we're talking about. This right here. So this is the clothing rack that all my clothes are on. Pretty big rack, and this is the back door in there, if you can see in there, and this is the front door right here. So anyways, that's just for context. So it starts raining, so I say, okay, my clothes are gonna get completely soaked again, and I didn't have like all my clothes were dirty, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna bring them through the house to this patio right here that's covered. So I get the rack, so I open the doors wide so I can get it through. I get the rack, and there's like a big mattress on the floor right here that's like a makeshift sofa right in the middle of the room. I get the rack, super heavy, right, because it's covered in dripping wet clothes at this point. And it's metal, so I lift it up and I'm bringing it through the house, and I'm trying to step over the sofa, and I'm like struggling, and then I get to the door and water's dripping everywhere. I was like, oh no. I get to the door and I bump it, and it was just not quite open enough to get through. So I'm like trying to like open the door with it, but it's like long. So I'm like trying to do it, but I don't want to set it down because it's dripping wet on the mattress and everything. And like, as I'm looking down to see like what I can do, I notice that I'm freaking covered in ants. And I had this on, no shirt though, my arms and my whole torso swarming with ants, bro, because there was a freaking ant colony in the rack. So as I was moving it and shaking it, bro, they all came out on full force and were swarming me, bro, just crawling all up my shit. And I was just like, ah! I was like, oh no, it's like a nightmare, dude. And luckily they weren't like the big ants. They were like the kind of little small ants. And so they weren't like biting me or anything. But I'm like holding this now, and I know if I put it down, the ants are just gonna onto the ground and like get everywhere. So I was like, ah. So I'm like, hold it on, and I'm trying to open the doors, and I finally get the doors pushed open, and I get it out there, and then I'm just freaking trying to get all the ants off me and whatever. So I eventually get all the ants off of me, and I go get the bug killer spray that the host gave me, this like bug killer spray. And I go to town, buddy. And I go out there and and dude, it was so many ants, bro. They're just falling off and dying everywhere. And there was just like, I wish I would have took a picture. I might have took a video, but there was just tons of ants on the ground, just dead, bro. Just full on ant massacre, bro. And I was just like, God. So it was like gnarly cleanup, and I was finding ants in my hair and everything. And I was just like, dude, come on, So anyways, but that was interesting. Okay. And then there's two other unfortunate experiences I had. One is, like I said, there's lizards everywhere. There was when I was here last time on the beach, and lizards are just kind of around, and they're pretty skittish, and they don't really bug you. They don't really come around you. They run away from you. They really mind their own business for the most part, aside from sometimes going, they just kind of do their thing, right? So they don't really bother me. Like I could care less about them. But I get my electrolyte drink. It's like orange. And same thing, no shirt. I'm walking around the kitchen and out of nowhere, I don't know where he was, but a lizard flies out of the air onto me, bro. I don't know where he was on the wall or on the ceiling, if he fell or if he slipped or if he just jumped onto me or what he did, but he just, bam. And and he's running. I'm like, and I did not like it, dude. And he just slammed onto the floor and scurried away. And I was like, what the hell was that, dude? So I don't know what he was doing. Part of me thinks like the orange in the cup like triggered his senses or something, and that's why he jumped. I don't know what happened. I turned off the fan to film this so it's not super loud and I'm starting to get hot. But anyways, so that happened, and that was not what I wanted to have happen. I didn't like it. So now I'm like watching lizards. I'm like, you stay where you're at, buddy. God. And then the other thing is I go in my bathroom the other night. I open the door and I see a big spider. Big spider. And it's like, he's just like, and I'm like, oh, and he's just like against the wall in the corner. And just probably the biggest spider. Like I've seen this giant spider in the tree outside, but as far as like in a room, me and the spider, wild spider, maybe have been the biggest one. And just menacing, dude. Big freaking legs. And I'm just like, oh. And I was like, what do I do? Because I can't let him live. I'm like, I can't let that thing get away in the house, right? I was like, no way, dude. Like, so he was toast one way or the other. And I'm thinking, man, he was like so big. I didn't want to smash him with a shoe or something, because it was like big, dude. It was just been guts and just and I would have to really get him, and I didn't want to get that close to him either, right? So I was like, what the hell do I do? And I was like, oh, the bug spray. I was like, okay. So I get the bug spray and I pull up on him and I just give it to him. But the thing is, he's a big boy and he starts running away, but he isn't dying, and he's just running away, and he's like going over to the toilet. And I was like, no. And I'm like spraying him, and he's trying to escape, and I'm spraying him. And dude, he ends up just turning and just coming straight at me across the floor. And I'm like backing up like, fuck, die. Spraying him for my life, dude. And eventually I just got him enough that he just, flips on his back and full on like, I'm just like, and it's just, fuck, dude. Oh, I hated it. It was so traumatizing. No, it wasn't the end of the world, but it was a duel. Like, it was crazy. And then I broomed him up and put him in the toilet and flushed it like 10 times and then flushed it again when I came back in there like 10 times. But he was dead for sure. But I'll show you a picture of him when he was dead. And the picture doesn't do it justice, because he was kind of curled up at this point, and, whatever. I think I can actually show you from my Finder real quick. Where's my Finder window? Oh, here it is. Oop. Okay. So real quick, here is the spider. Yeah. So that's my foot. I'm a size 10.5, and this is the spider dead. And that's a big spider, dude. And it was not the vibe. Ooh, I did not like it. Maybe I made him sound way bigger than he was. And he looked small in that picture. Like when he was like coming at me, dude, I was like, this thing is fucking huge. Because it's like, it's the size where it's not just like a little bug anymore, right? It has like more like agency to it. It's like more of like an animal, right? And once it just got past the threshold where I'm like, this thing is like, I don't know, it just freaked me out. I did not like it. So that was the bug situation. So I'm not loving that about being here, and I'm a little on my toes now. Luckily, I have a good bug net around my bed, and I haven't ever found a bug in there. But that's that with the bugs. We'll get into the update here. Oh, I have another story I want to tell real quick, which is one I forgot last week, which is just funny. On the plane, they're passing out food, but I was sleeping, so I didn't get it. So anyways, the flight attendant, like midway through the flight, comes over to me and she says, "Excuse me, sir, I'm like, hello. She's like, I need to see your boarding pass. And I was like, okay. And so I show it to her and she looks at it and she's like, you have check-in visa. And I was like, what does that mean? And because I'm like, I'm tripping. I'm like, what about my visa? And like, why are you checking me? Like, why in the middle of the flight are you checking me about my visa? And I was like, oh. So I was kind of tripping. She's like, you have check-in visa. And she's like, 1 minute. And she takes my boarding pass and goes to the back. And I was like, please help nothing be wrong. And then she comes back and she gives me a little box of food. It's like a little thing. And I look on it and it says chicken pizza. And I was like, oh, not chicken visa, chicken pizza. But she had a really thick accent. So it was just a funny misunderstanding, but I thought that was funny. Made me LOL pretty hard. Let's go through the update, baby. Okay. Okay, new this week, baby. Music video and how I made the music video. So my new music video and song for Sunrise is out. I filmed this last time I was in Bali, so it's timely. It came out this time back in Bali. It's out. Worked super hard on it. I love it. I'm super proud of it. I think it's really cool. I think the song is cool. So check it out and comment and like and stuff and help the algorithm and help me get it out there if you like it. And then I also did literally an hour-long full breakdown of like all the shots, how I made it, how I started the video, the concepts, how I went about it, kind of covered everything front to back basically. So if you're curious about, if you see a shot and you're like, oh, that's cool, how'd you make that, or what was that, blah blah blah, you can just, it's all time stamped, so you can just find what shot you want and check it out and just see my process. So not many people kind of know how I do what I do. And then this is the song here. But yeah, okay, what I'm wondering about, I was wondering who owns the S&P 500, which it is a company called the S&P something. But it's like a financial analyst company, right? So Standard & Poor is what it stands for, which is interesting. But S&P Global Incorporated, and they provide financial information, analytics, benchmarks, and credit ratings to global markets. So that's honestly obvious in retrospect that that's who owns it. If I'm drying my clothes in Bali and they get rained on, are they dirty again? Because I was like, is the rain clean? Should I rewash them? It said, unless they're like soaking wet for a long, long time, you're fine. So, and I actually did just let them dry after being rained on and they smelled good and it was fine. So I left it. Where can I see Kanye's new song that is banned? So I obviously heard about this new Kanye song. I have a lot of thoughts. I don't know what's going on. It's really it's like so abrasive to watch it. You just watch it and you go, ooh, it's a whole Hitler thing. It's really fucked. And the whole Nazi thing. You know, it's so easy to like, I feel like everyone's like, what's up with Kanye? Why is he doing that? What's his plan? Like, what is he thinking? Da, da, da. And like, everyone has their own opinion. And if I had to guess, I can't pretend to know, but if I had to guess, gun to my head, I think he's doing that stuff and doing videos like that and does crazy shit like that literally for this exact reason. So I talk about it, so people talk about it, so people argue about it. It's how he stays relevant and at the front of culture and the front of the spotlight, right? It's like you got to push the envelope. You know, and as far as all the stuff he's saying in there, and I don't know, I could be wrong about that. That's my guess. And as far as all the stuff he's saying in there, I have this weird feeling where I don't think he should say it. I don't think anyone should say it, but I do think you should be able to say it. So it's a free speech thing. And it's like, well, you shouldn't say it. It's bad to say, I think, right? It's just not tasteful. It's not good. But there's a part of me that's like, okay, I like to see the envelope being pushed because I believe in free speech. And I think shit gets really sketchy and not cool when you start saying what people can't say, right? Even if it's fucked. Like, you should be able to say what you want to say, even if it's bad. And so there's one aspect of me that kind of feels relieved, even though it's like got taken off Spotify and it got taken off everything. It got left on X, and I've seen clips online and shit like that. So, there's a part of me that, while I don't necessarily, and it sucks because the song's freaking gas, like it's a banger. But there's a part of me that's like, okay, it's like a check, you know. It's like, can we still say what we want and not like go to jail or like get in trouble? So interesting. I don't really know. I haven't thought about it that much. That's kind of my first impression on that. And then I got, if I boil water to make coffee from the tap water in Bali, will I be okay? That's a good question. And it said, yeah, probably for a little bit. But the thing is, there is two elements to the water that make it bad, which is the bacteria and viruses and parasites and shit like that can be in the tap water, which boiling takes care of. But then there's like chemicals and heavy metals and contaminants that boiling doesn't take care of that will just stay in the water. So it basically said if it's for a few days or something, you're probably fine. But if it's prolonged stay, don't do it, probably is the best move. So that's what was the direction from Perplexity there. Going back. What I'm watching, Love, Death, and Robots. I'm almost all the way through. It's really amazing. The animation, man, the art styles, everything. It's just really cool. It's like a really cool top of the line animations, stories, short stories and things. And I've been enjoying it. And then I got Wes Huff Bible on Flagrant, which is really interesting. It was timely though, because I'm reading the Bible cover to cover. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. So I was watching it, and he actually did address a lot of the questions I had about Genesis, right? He would bring him, Mark, the other person on the podcast, brought up some things, and he addressed a couple things that were weird to me. But there was a couple things too where I'm just like, why don't you like, just shit wasn't adding up. I always wish I could be there to be like, well, what you said that, but what about this? And like, da-da-da. But there's this weird thing where Andrew's like pressing him on Orthodox Christianity being like the original church and like the original, I guess that's what Orthodox means, I guess. But anyways, and Wes was like not having it, and he like wouldn't really, he was like dancing around it, and he like wouldn't admit it, and he doesn't like it, and he like, it was weird, but they wouldn't like get into the specifics of it, and it left me interested in like, I'm like, what's going on there? So that was weird, but I'm into Exodus now. I guess we might as well. I think that's the next section, what I'm reading. Yeah, I'm into Exodus now. Finished Genesis. Getting into Exodus where the Israelites get out of Egypt and all that stuff. And it's really interesting, but again, it just seems like something people would have written. It does not seem like these rules that God gives Moses on Mount Sinai, and the whole ordeal with him getting the tablets and like the Ark of the Covenant and making the tabernacle and all these things. It just so seems like a person authored it. It just seems like a post hoc thing. It does not seem like a divine being giving you these exact specifications and laws, and they're so arbitrary and weird. Like with the slaves, like there's all these rules about slaves, and like, you know, if your ox kills someone else's ox, you gotta, you know, or like if you give your slave a wife while they're working for you, they're supposed to go free in 7 years, but if they want to stay because of their wife, and their wife can't go free after 7 years, you have to pierce their ear, and then they're your slave for life, etc. And just all these weird things where I'm like, what are we doing? And people always argue with these Old Testament things. I always hear this argument. I don't know what this is in the chat. I don't know what that emoji is. Clarify that. But anyways, people always argue with the Old Testament. They're like, okay, God was doing what he had to do in the context of the time and the culture and the ancient culture. And he was giving them laws and commandments and things that in the context that they would understand and that would make sense to them. And the reason that doesn't hold any water for me is because God was making them do all kinds of stuff that they didn't understand or made no sense, right? All these arbitrary rituals and things that made no sense, right? Like freaking circumcision is one of them. It's like putting the blood on the door for the Passover. It's like all this stuff he's having them do. And these weird rules of like yeast, and you can't have any yeast in the camp for like a week on these festivals and like all this stuff. It's like, he's getting him to do all this wacky stuff. There's no reason that he's not explaining what germs are. There's no reason why he isn't explaining what electricity is. There's no reason he isn't like giving them, like there's nothing in the Old Testament that a human couldn't have written or known about, right? Everything humans would have known about. There's no like tip off that this is a divine being that made everything telling you about the world and things that there's no way humans would have known, right? It's all written like that, right? It's like, to me, I'm like, it just seems like man-made in a lot of ways. That, or there's again, it's like I'll freaking go on this forever, but you look at it through the lens of like an advanced being or aliens or something like that. And it just, everything makes sense. Like, it's interesting when God's on Mount Sinai and he lets Moses bring the religious leaders up and they all eat with God. And it says that God was standing on like this lapis, brilliant stone, blue thing. And it's like, it just sounds like some future technology type platform or thing that some advanced being is up there on, right? And they're like, and it's like when he brings the Egyptians out of, or he brings the Israelites out of Egypt, right? And they're led by the cloud by day and pillar of fire by night. And there's a point where the Israelites are camping by the Red Sea before he parts the waters. And the Egyptians had pursued them, but it says the pillar of fire went between the Israelites and the Egyptians to keep them apart all night, to keep the Egyptians from getting the Israelites. But if you think of it, a pillar of fire, right? It's like, how, it's like they could just go around, right? It's like, how big is this pillar of fire? It's like, what it sounds like is a freaking spaceship that has guns or some type of force field or some type of advanced thing that's like keeping them away, right? And it's like a pillar of fire or a cloud or something. It's like, that doesn't make that much sense. And two, on this podcast with Wes Huff, he was saying how the way Sodom and Gomorrah is destroyed, which I was talking about last week as like a nuclear explosion. It says, because God shows up as a person with two angels to Abraham. And, Abraham eats with God and the two angels go to Sodom and Gomorrah to get Lot, etc. And then it says that Yahweh rained down fire and sulfur, or Yahweh on earth rained down fire and sulfur from Yahweh in heaven, right? Because that God was like on earth too. He was like being a person at that time and stuff, which is ultimately confusing. But if you think of it in the context of like advanced weaponry, it's like dude freaking called in an airstrike. Like that's what that is. He's like, okay, get him. And he's like, okay, boom. And they roast him, right? So it's like it's just crazy when something seems weird to me when I'm reading through Exodus or Genesis or any of this, if I just think, okay, this makes no sense the way this is described, like how weird is it? Then you think of it in the context of an advanced civilization, it all makes sense. And the other thing that's really interesting to me, which I have to look into more, is that God himself and Abraham and Moses and the pharaohs and stuff like this, they all refer to the other gods of the time like there just are other gods, right? They're not saying there's no other gods, right? They're saying, yeah, I'm better than the other gods. Like the God of Israel is like, yeah, I'm better than all the other gods. But it's crazy when he's putting the famines and the plagues on Egypt. The first few plagues, Pharaoh has magicians that do the same thing, right? So Moses like turns the water to blood, right? Turns the Nile to blood, but then the Egyptian magicians do it too. And like Moses throws his staff on the ground and it turns into a snake, and the Egyptian magicians can do it too, right? So it's like implied in the story that there are other powers that are powerful, that are doing stuff. It's like they can bring the locusts or something like. So these Egyptian magicians and whatever, they're bringing their gods to do stuff. And maybe people would say, oh, that's demons. That's like Satan and demons and they have power over the world and whatever. But it's just interesting. At least in Genesis and the beginning of Exodus, there's no like explicit God saying these other gods aren't real, right? It's an acknowledgement that these other gods and powers are real, right? So that's why it's so different from Christianity and like your normal faith that people have. It's just interesting and weird, and I don't know, it's just confusing. But we'll learn about it more. We're gonna keep going, so that's what that is. Getting on with this now. What I'm listening to, this is an old one, but it's Good But Not Together by Valley. I love it. Oh, it's such a freaking vibe. It's such a good band, and it's such a good song, and I love it. And let's go for the photo dump here. I'm going to just actually show the pictures from my computer so we can get a little bigger of a picture. Okay, this is me and Michael's family, and Pippa, and Ivy, and his name. It's not Brentley. That's what it is. It's like a weird combination. Brentley. It's a little guy. Look at that little piece. He's a hey, buddy. That guy's such a cutie. Anyways, I love him to death. They're literally the best. I got a kettlebell, 16 kilograms, because there's no gym here, obviously. So I got to just work out. But I I didn't know what weight to get. So it's apparently 16 kilograms is 35 pounds. The crazy thing is I went on Facebook Marketplace to look, found a dude, but they cast them themselves when you order it. So I ordered it from Denpasar, which is like 3 hours away. They cast it, made it, shipped it to me, and it cost me $30 total for that thing. So that's a banger. And so I've been working out with that and doing kettlebell exercises. This is the house from the front garden, the front of the house. So pretty cool vibe. Very, very much nature out here. Pretty cool. This is a lizard with no tail I saw. So his tail got yeeted by something. I don't know, but I think it'll just grow back. So I think the tails just grow back on these guys. So that'll be interesting. But it's funny to see him going around with no tail. I was like, whoa, that guy looks weird. And then we already looked at that. This is the spider. This is the banner. Nice. The flowers around here are very beautiful. Okay. And then I think I had a couple other things I'm getting sweaty here. I had a couple other things I was going to talk about, which were in my blog. Oh yeah. So spider attack. Yeah. So the other thing is I have been noticing a pretty intense, some nights, loneliness. And it's like this weird, like depressive dread. And I just feel like, it's so weird. It's like the feeling, it's a familiar feeling. I felt it before, but it's like a feeling of loneliness and like, it just feels really bad. It's like, I feel like depressed and like this weird, deep, like lonely depression. But then it's like tangled with this fear because I'm like, it's like, especially if I feel it when it starts getting dark, I'm like, oh, it's about to just be dark in the house. I'm going to be by myself. And then I'm going to have to just live like this with this feeling. And it's like this fear of the feeling keeping going. And it's really interesting because I didn't expect it, but it's so much more secluded out here. It's like, I haven't left the gate for a week. I see the Grab driver and I see the host when she comes and cleans, and there's a few other people, but it's just, you feel just alone out in the jungle. It's like, I'm on this big property. I'm just full by myself, and it's getting really weird. I think I'm getting used to it, and I've been okay the last few days. The other thing is I'm getting off Zins and trying to take down my coffee intake, so that like kind of levies a certain amount of depression at you just in general. So I think it's like that being alone and like this vibe switch up and the time zone change and then going off nicotine and caffeine all together just kind of makes it rough mentally. But it's just weird. Like usually if you're feeling that way, you can go be around someone, hey, what's up? Or like hang out with someone or do something with someone, and it kind of helps it. But I'm just like by myself. I'm just like, and the other thing is late at night, I can't really call any of my friends or family or anything on FaceTime because it's like 3 a.m. for them. It's like when I go to bed at 9, sometimes someone's up early and they'll text me, but that's like at 9 and I'm going to bed. So it's like, I'm really just alone. It's like, gotta just face it. But it's not horrible. It's like, it feels bad, but it's like, I'm not tripping about it really. But it is just, noteworthy and kind of interesting. So that's been happening. And then the last 2 nights have been good though. So I think I'm kind of chilling. And then too, it's like you add the big spider into that and I'm just like, But yeah, the spider in. The other thing is I'm working. So like I said, I'm going to paywall these Wonderneath weekly posts soon. Once I get all my marketing stuff built out. But I'm working on an ebook, which I'm going to give away to people who sign up for my email list, right? So if you sign up for free for the email list, you get my ebook and you get this other thing. The ebook is really cool. I'm thinking I'm going to call it, There's a Lot of Stars in the Sky, Even When You Can't See Them, which I know is a long title. But it's going to be full of basically, at first it'll probably be only a few. I think I want to maybe turn it into a legit book eventually, but at first it's going to be this little ebook. And it's these stories of success stories that are like unexpected and cool and inspiring. And it's just going to be little like maybe 1 or 2 page little things written in my own words, telling the story of these different things. So I'll actually show you. Canva, I'm making it on Canva. I'll show you the first page and kind of the art style I'm working on here. Just kind of getting it started, but I'm going to obviously do clouds for the cover, but here it is. So this first one is J.K. Rowling's story. J.K. Rowling and the Publisher's Daughter. So it's like titled like a Harry Potter book, which I think is funny. And then I've got a Lego one going, and it's just nothing. I mean, it's just a random text. I haven't actually went in and dialed it yet. It's just like an outline, but that's kind of the idea. So I think that'll be cool and fun. And I hope people like it. I think like those stories are really impactful and compelling to me. Like I always tell them to people and I always think of them. And so I want to just kind of make a little collection of them and build it and build it. So I think that'll be cool to give to people. So I'm working on that too. What was I going to say about that? But yeah, I'm going to put some of that. I'm still going to do Wonderneath weekly and some of the stuff will be free, but it'll be paywalled halfway through. So like these videos, my photo dumps and more of the personal stuff will all be under the paywall. And then the last thing is, yeah, quitting Zins. So, and it's not even like I want to quit Zins. It's like I can't get them out here. So I'm just weaning off of what I have left and just going to stop, which is good. I want to stop, but I do like my Zins. So that's kind of a bummer. I think that's everything this week. But anyways, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching if you're here. And we'll see you next week. I don't know. I'm going to really be working on the new marketing stuff for the blog and for all that. And I've got a gear video. So I made a video and I've been filming it since Bangkok all the way through Vietnam in here. And I just uploaded it to YouTube. So it'll probably be live next week, but it's a video of everything I own. It's like everything I own is a digital nomad. And I just walk through my clothes. I walk through my gear, my instruments, my toiletry bag, my like luggage, my everything I have. And then it goes with a blog post that's in the description that you'll probably see too, which just has links to everything. So it's like my screens and my batteries and my cables and my hard drives and my shoes and everything that's in the video. There's links to buy everything if you want to check it out, because it was so hard for me to put it together, right? To find all the clothes that I wanted, to find the right gear and the portable gear and the good power strips and the good different things. And I spent so much money and time like trying to get everything. So now it's like a resource for someone else who maybe, so they don't have to buy so many things to try it, or maybe they can find solutions to things they might need if they're like me and they want to travel and pare down their belongings, etc. So that's what's upcoming. And then, yep. See you next week.